A man known as the TikTok Trickster is finally back behind bars after investigators say he spent years scamming women across several states, including our area. As WKRG News 5's Taylor Boyson reports, even after multiple arrests, Spanish Fort police fear he could walk free again.
This case began nearly 3 years ago. Back in 2023, we spoke with a Spanish Fort woman who reported that a man she met on TikTok named Jason Mitchell stole her car.
The name that she gave us, we looked it up, couldn't find any information about it.
But investigators with the Spanish Fort Police Department quickly realized that the case was far bigger than a stolen vehicle.
And this is not just a theft of property of a vehicle case. This is a career scam artist.
Detectives used facial recognition to discover the man's true identity as Brenton Fillers, uncovering a long criminal history.
This was a felon that had been arrested over 30-something times, over a 30-year period, with over 30 aliases.
Authorities say many of those cases involved theft, forgery, and fraud, and that social media played a key role.
His end game is money.
This online Romeo was deemed the TikTok Trickster, and the Spanish Fort case caught national attention. Alleged victims of his scams nationwide began contacting police.
Talking to some of these victims, he makes them feel very loved. He flatters them. He talks about all the money that he has.
This led to Fillers' arrest in Kentucky and an extradition to Texas to face a warrant for aggravated sexual assault of a child.
It's unfortunate, but the case was not going to be able to go to trial, and so he was going to be released from that charge he had in Texas.
Within weeks of being released, investigators say Fillers resurfaced, calling Spanish Fort Police Chief John Barber himself.
They said, Brenton Fillers wants to talk to you. I'm going, this certainly can't be our TikTok guy, and it was.
Shortly after that, Fillers was nowhere to be found. But this week, a tip from Facebook led the case to North Carolina, where local police took Fillers into custody. Investigators in Spanish Fort say they were stunned when they saw he was granted a $50,000 bond, later reduced to only $15,000.
He was on a 34th alias when he was arrested 2 days ago. He will assume his 35th alias the minute he hits the ground, and then we're going to spend a year or two or more looking for him.
Investigators say more information has already come in from additional alleged victims of Fillers scams. They encourage anyone who believes they may be a victim to this man to contact your local law enforcement. In Spanish Fort, Taylor Boyson, WKRG News 5.